Hey Dito, do you know what time it is?
KT, guess what? It's time for Movember. Neanderthal Movember.
Oh, time to grow something out. But in this episode, SIBYL says all, well, pretty much about everything in your life. Alvhame gives you wings, and Monja hate this joke. All that more coming up. Ah. Okay, these shenanigans begins in 3, 2. Did you fix your hair?
As best as I can.
1.
Ah!
It's time for the Ktdata Anime Podcast with Dito and Ktdata. The Ktdata Anime Podcast is brought to you by boxes, and more boxes. Lots to review. Keep your eye on ktdata.net for brand new reviews oozing out of everything. Hey everybody, welcome to the Ktdata Anime Podcast. I am Ktdata.
And I'm Dito, guys. What's up?
And here's the book club anime podcast with a slightly modified format we're doing on here. So hopefully, we'll keep the conversations going a little bit more. But first of all, Dito, how are you doing, man? I haven't talked to you in a while. Been busy.
Yeah, it's been really busy, KT. But as you may notice, that I haven't shaved. And this is because that it is Neanderthal November, where you pretty much shave yourself. And then let it
Movember
grow
is
up
so much better.
November.
Movember.
Not November. November.
Mo, like flaming Mo.
Yeah. The flaming Movember.
Ooh, that means you're gonna light your beard on fire?
Oh, it's gonna suck at first. Yeah, at the end of the month.
Can we record you burning it?
Yeah, we could. It's like just
nothing like smelling like sulfur. All right, guys. So if you have never seen the Ktdata Anime Podcast before, and I forgive you. It's our first episode of our fall season now. Fall. That means we've been doing this for about a year now, Dito, because we started with a fall season last year.
Yes.
Oh,
look how much we've covered and done.
So many animes. So the idea is you go watch the anime, and this is kind of the book club of it, where you come back, we discuss things, and see where it goes and probe each other's mind on there. But
fun of it.
And our 3 animes we're actually doing this season are Psycho Pass, finishing off Sword Art Online, or as I call it, might have to change the name to AHO instead. And Tonari no Kaibutsu-Kun on there. So those are the 3 animes. If you haven't seen any of them, don't turn us off yet. Just click pause. Head on over to ktdata.net. We have links for all these shows and the episodes, so you can watch and enjoy. Then come back and listen to some of our discussions. And of course, we're always taking feedback on what you guys think. Just email us at ktdata@ktdata.net. So I think I got all the bookkeeping things done, right, Dito?
Spoilers, guys. Spoilers.
Yes, spoilers. We might, depending on how this format goes, we might not go as in depth spoiler-wise as we used to, but we might. Who knows? But let's just go into our first anime right now. And our first anime is Psycho Pass, and it's brought to you by Retro Workstations. Nothing like having a steampunk computer console. Alright, so our first anime is a brand new anime that we haven't seen before, and it's called Psycho Pass. So let's kind of give you a layout on how the world's laid out now. So it takes place in the near future, not too far ahead, and it's possible to just instantly measure almost every facet of a life, including what you think, and quantify your state of mind, and it's processed into this number they call the psychopath. Pass, not psychopath. Wow, I just realized the correlation. With this information, the city's computer, because the city is actually run by a computer called SIBYL, determines who is a potential criminal, what job you can have, what you should eat during the day, and everything along with it. So that's kind of the basis of the world. The psychopath pass. Wow.
We're gonna be saying this for probably quite the rest of the show, maybe.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it is in Psychopaths. And our main character is Tsunemori Akane, and she's kind of the new kid on the block for their criminal investigations department. And then we also so her task is to kind of push these enforcers around, and they're actually criminals or latent criminals as they call it. That's when your psychopath number goes beyond a specific threshold where you are considered a criminal, and instead of being in solitary confinement, these guys kind of will work for the man on there, and her job is kind of to chaperone them around, and
their nanny.
Yeah, pretty much. And then two of the latent criminals that you kind of see Akane working with is Kogami Shinya and Masoka Tonomi, and they're kind of seasoned veterans. One of them looks like Spike Spiegel, and the other one just looks like a old-time cop transported to the future
with a robotic arm.
Yeah. It's funny they don't really upplay that until you actually just see him. He has like a Luke Skywalker fake hand. So yeah. So let's just go into our first topic right here. Is just the idea of a psychopath, where we've just gotten to the point where all our devices now just link into this central computer, and it kind of just controls everything. And the thing is, since we're human beings, we're complicated. We have good days, we have bad days. I mostly have bad days. Dito usually has good days.
Good one. But in this, it would also measure your stress level too. So, in this case, it's like if you just had a really bad day, or just like someone cut you off on the road and everything, and your so-called psychopath just goes into a certain level, they can trigger you, and you go past one of these like relay stations. It will kind of say, like, oh, this person needs to be brought in to see treatment.
The funny thing is they never actually show you getting scanned, but they mention it often in conversations. Like, I can't believe you got past the personality scan today, or something like that.
Yeah.
And so
that would really suck, though.
Yeah.
You'd just be sitting there, like, sitting, it's like maybe eating some food or anything, and then suddenly you just get some cops come to you. He's like, come with us, sir. Like,
yeah. And they put you into rehabilitation, and it actually sounds like this world's heavily medicated too, because we actually see in one of the episodes the avatar for Akane is like, I suggest you take this pill right here to keep your mental health good. So it's actually crazy how you see this. It's even to the point where both the enforcers and Akane, the inspector, on there, they have these guns called Dominators, and kind of explain how the Dominator works, Dito.
Well, first off, it owns you, quite literally. They mention it a couple times in there, so it's just follow what the Dominator says. So you point, it relays it straight from the psychopaths and SIBYL, and tells you exactly what their mentality is, whether they're a threat or not, and the trigger, the safety on it, will unlock automatically if this person they're pointing at reaches that so-called potential.
Yeah,
but
and depending on your psychopath level, the gun unlocks different versions of it. Like, the gun is capable of doing things from just stunning you to totally blowing you up, Tetsuo style.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to think that in somewhere. I had to.
But it is. It's one of these like really interesting things too. But like as you see through the show, it turns from this like little pistol into like this gun cannon.
Yeah. And so, like, I thought when I first saw this gun, I thought it was really cool. But the more you learn about it, the more like I honestly hate this gun, because you literally cannot use it as a regular weapon, since it will only fire specifically at people. And even the paralyzed, depending on where you hit the person, I think the gun does assistive aiming on top of that. So you just gotta get close on there. Depending on where you hit the person, you can take the person out for an entire day, which is kind of crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, just don't aim for the spine. Try not to.
Yeah, and what's kind of weird that I still kind of don't understand yet, because they haven't explained it, is the psychopath levels. they have a specific number, but ranges are in different colors. So you can go from what I can tell, looking at a screenshot of a scanner, it goes from orange to green, and the closer you are to green, the more potentially dangerous you are. Most people are in a shade of blue-ish.
Yeah, I think they said like teal blue or something like that. Like the one of the criminals that they were chasing, they're like 190 teal blue or something like that. And
So
it pretty much like said, "Oh, you're gonna get stunned."
yeah, so like this whole idea of the psychopaths kind of goes into our next subject is that the we learn about this world. It's this futuristic world where we have all this technology. It's not steampunk. It's more cyberpunk. It's a cyberpunk world with a little bit of steampunk mixed in, but mostly cyberpunk on there. You see all these cool things. They have crazy things. It's not too far off from our world. You know, you still have helicopters, you still have people and everything. But what is nuts is this entire city is controlled by a computer called SIBYL. On there, it's like, so the computer quantifies everything, and from the day you're born to the day you die, SIBYL is like in control of your life. You have no decisions to make or anything. You just kind of
Just like the Matrix.
yeah, you kind of just follow on it, and like I don't know, how do you feel about that, Dito? Just having like a computer control every aspect of your life under the guise that SIBYL's doing everything to make your life perfect, you know, so you can have a happy life.
Well, as they mentioned in the show too, when Akane was talking to one of the latent criminals, that she thinks like one of the old people, like before the whole SIBYL was put into effect, to where everyone was controlled, because she's just like, I don't want my life to be like this, I just kind of took it because this is the only path that was presented to me. But I was wondering what kind of life I could lead, So if you're born into this world, I really don't know if your free will would actually apply there. But if we were put into it right now, I think that would be kind of awkward. Well, because I know for a fact I would be considered a latent criminal.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be doing a podcast for sure. That this is definitely not like, because you see the people in there, they act like it's normal, which makes sense. You know, you're born around it, you kind of get it. But when you first see the cities and stuff, you're like, oh, people can walk around, they're allowed to do whatever they want. But the more you look at it, is they're allowed a guise of freedom, because like none of them are able to pick their jobs. Whatever they score on their test is whatever they get. So, one of the characters of Akane, she's just stuck waitressing tables, but they're like, you're good at it. That's what your score told you.
And the other one is just works at a blue collar job,
yeah.
And none of them really like their job though.
But they consider themselves happy, and that might just be under the influence in the guise of the drugs that sounds like they're overly medicated on, and the fear of
doped up.
Yeah,
totally doped up.
Yeah, and pretty much, and the fear of just getting arrested.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I could. You know what this reminds me of? Did you ever read Fahrenheit 451?
Not all of it.
But this kind of reminds me of how that is, where nobody's allowed to really read books, and everybody just kind of just goes with the flow and watches TV and are more mindless drones than anything else. Like, at this point, I think the computer has more life than most people are living it.
I mean, almost like now, anyways. Too soon.
Ah, man. But yeah, the interesting point is, like, Akane. I thought she was just gonna kind of, once you watch the first episode, you kind of get the feeling that, oh, she's gonna be kind of a victim in here. But when you start to learn more about her character, is that she's kind of that ray of hope for humanity to get out of this system where there's just this preconceived conception that from the day you're born to the day you die, something else is going to tell you what's going on. Instead,
be honest, I thought she was going to die in the first episode.
Really?
I really thought she was going to die in the first episode, because like, this doesn't seem like a very strong character.
Yeah.
First episode ends. Second one's like, look at the intro. Oh, she's actually going to be a main character.
Yeah.
Got it.
But, she's had this luxury because she scored top scores on almost every conceivable place. Private companies, government companies. She could have picked any of them. And out of her class of like 500, she was the only one that qualified for the criminal investigations department. That's kind of where she ended up on there.
Which is very odd, because it's like, this is where I feel like I belong or what I should want to find myself. It's just like going,
Well, no, what she said was she took this to kind of discover who she is,
yeah,
and that kind of floors everybody else. I'm like, are you kidding me? You have this luxury, like we're told what we are. Like the latent criminals, there's only two places they can go: their dormitories and the criminal investigation department floor. Anywhere else, they're gonna get shot.
well, this brings up another thing too. I just wanted to bring up on that I find actually really funny. I mean, not really funny, but kind of interesting. It was their whole holographic room slash clothing.
Oh yeah, see, even your room, you can. I actually like this is kind of an analog of how the system is. Is this system gives you this false sense that you're safe, you're secure, you're happy, and it's the same thing that happens with a room. You can be anywhere you want, sleep anywhere and wake up. The weather can be whatever you want, but right when you leave the room, it just becomes this empty hull of a house that's like cold and dark, and there's nothing there. So I don't know. From watching the first two episodes, what's your impression of this anime, and like, what are you expecting to see from it?
After the first episode, you just kind of get really, really depressed. Really.
Yeah, this is.
But when you get in the second episode, you actually start seeing character development, and it has a lot of potential. I mean, like we've mentioned in our preview about this before, it's very Ghost in the Shell-ish.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, how do we say, Ghost in the Shell meets Matrix meets Cowboy Bebop in a sense.
Just because the character looks like Spike.
Yeah, that's just because the character looks like Spike.
But yeah, I'm kind of excited to see where they take this concept, because the computer controlling the city concept's not new, but I really want to see what they're gonna do with the story, and hopefully they're not gonna be rehashing something that was created before.
Oh, they will. They'll just take a new turn on it.
And then what I like about this anime too is it fits some of our standards that we have. It's a production IG anime. Somehow they got the egoist from Groping Crown to be on here, and we have a character that looks
the
like
ending. The ending has our Groping Crown egoness.
And like this will be considered our serious anime that we've tended to have.
Every once in a blue moon.
Once in a blue moon. Speaking of moons, let's go on to our next anime right here.
Ooh.
隠してた感情が悲鳴を上げてる確かな誓いを手に
And our next anime is Sword Art Online, and it's brought to you by...
Nine up. Yep. You like it, it likes you. I'd say none up for some odd reason.
Nah, it's better than 7. Just add 2 to it.
I'm
sorry. I could not resist this. You guys know how much I love just finding all these like soda names they stick in everything.
Yeah, I completely missed it until you pointed it out. I'm like, I had to go look for it again. I'm like, oh, I get it.
All right, so since this is not a new anime, we'll kind of give you a refresh on what happened. Last episode, we see the fastest bass bottle in history. How did you lose immortality? And the game's over? What? We're only halfway through! All right, so the game's over.
No.
The name of the game, everybody's logged out, right?
Yeah, so we had about over 3,400 some odd, helpless victims in the game that has been logged out. But apparently, there's still 300 of them are still in a comatose state.
Yeah, that's for some reason they didn't log out, and these aren't including the ones that died. I don't think. Which is still nuts. And can I mention something before we move on? I hate Kirito's shocked face. It's that dumb look where he's like... It's such a stupid-looking face, and they'll freeze frame on it, too.
Okay, good. I'm glad someone else pointed that out, because, it's just... Why?
Yeah.
Just why, guys? Why?
Why? But, so... Sword Art Online's done. They were in there for literally 3 years, and our hypothesis about it just being... 2 years.
2 odd some plus.
Yeah, so what our hypothesis about it being in real time, just being simulated, I guess not true.
Oh,
Time actually passed on there, and now they kind of
actually died.
yeah, they kind of throw us in 2 months after Kirito kind of beats Heathcliff or whatever the guy's real
Yeah,
name
Heathcliff.
was.
Not the cat.
Yeah.
Heathcliff.
And they're finally out, and it looks like Kirito, he kind of told the Ministry of Internal Affairs that was kind of in charge of the investigation behind the Sword Art Online, because of course what happens when you get 10,000 people stuck in a video game, government's gonna take a look into it. He pretty much gave them everything you needed just so he could find Asuna.
Which is still a coma.
Yeah, we find out she's one of those 300 that's still in coma, and it's kind of weird because this is a weird inflection point because we've grown to love some of these characters, and I don't think we'll be seeing some of them anymore. Like the dude that he met on the first level, on there. I have a feeling we're not going to be seeing him the rest of the way. So, Kirito's back into this first world, and that's part of the reason why he played a lot of video games in any ways, because he was pretty much considered a social outcast, kind of like we are. That's why we're doing a podcast.
Yes, very much so. But we got introduced to his sister, his little sister.
Because she only says like
Suga.
one line in the from the first half, and like she's like, "I'm leaving now" or something.
Yeah, that's like the only thing you ever see of her, and then they just kind of like mention her a couple different times during the series because Kirito is talking about it because of one of the characters that reminds him of her little sister.
Yeah, and it turns out they're fairly close on there, because when she like visited him almost every day in the hospital while he's hooked up to the nerve gear.
But then this is when you realize that Kirito's mother actually is his aunt.
Yeah, because I thought it was the way we kind of got introduced to her from the other way around. I thought it was Kirito's mom that adopted his sister. Her name's Shuga. And but I guess it was the other way around. Kirito got adopted. So on there,
and we don't know the real story behind that one.
And then it looks so Kirito found Asuna. It looks like he's been visiting her every single day on there. And we also find out that so the game company Argus that made Sword Art Online, they after getting sued and just investigated, they went bankrupt. So all the assets and the technology got transferred to a company called Recto, which happens to be Asuna's father. He owns the company, which is shortened to RCT on there. And so we kind of learned a little bit about that. And the funny thing is, actually, before we go on, they try to mention this, is like some of the sword wielding skills that Kirito had in Sword Art Online kind of transferred back into the real world because he was using it and for sparring against his sister on there. So that's kind of an interesting thing, like,
because as they said when you're in the nerve gear that you're pretty much disconnected from your body, but then it's still an extension of your body being transferred to the nerve gear, so that means essentially whatever you are doing in the game can actually transfer to your body, like a muscle memory, so to speak. But at the same time, since they've been gone, he's been down for 2 years now, off being,
muscle atrophy.
Muscle atrophy. So what they mentioned in the show is that he was going to the gym and trying to rehabilitate his body and everything. Yeah. So that's why he was sparring with his little sister.
But he kept up with her because she's apparently like one of the top eighth
of one of the top eights. Kendo.
Japan. So that was kind of interesting. It's kind of I was really worried when they finished the game. I'm like, what are they gonna do? Are they just gonna drag out this search for Asuna, or like that's episode after episode, Kirito's just gonna be searching all over Japan for her on there? And but this kind of they take it a little farther than most animes do, because most animes happy ending, that's all. You don't hear anything about it after. This kind of takes you what happens after this 2-year trauma for people. And I'm hoping we see some of those past players and see if some of them are traumatized, or if the game, gave them more courage to live out life a little bit better.
But we do see one character, one familiar face. We see Adol. Agel. Yeah, I'm saying it right. Agel. The
The shopkeep.
the shopkeeper. Yeah, he's running a bar.
It's funny. It's like barely any difference. He's still behind a counter somewhere.
He is still behind a counter. Just a bartender now.
Yeah.
So we see him,
And
and he seems to be doing fine.
yeah, he seems to be fine. And the reason why I actually see him is because he sends. It looks like Kirito and him stayed in contact, and Kirito sent him Egel sent Kirito a picture to him that looked like Asuna, and because everybody at this point just assumed that all those 300 people, they're never coming back. They're just gonna be stuck in their nerve gear for the rest of their lives on there. But it happens to be that they got a picture of it from this game, which I can't pronounce. It's called Alvhame Online. And I'm like, oh crap, we're gonna have to rename this to AHO, aren't we?
Yeah.
Aho.
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 Not Aho. Not Aho. Aho.
Aho. And they find out the game's actually owned by Recto. And the weird thing about it is we kind of discover the link right there is because one day when Kirito's visiting Asuna, we meet this new character and his name is Sengo. And apparently he's an old family friend. And you know how it works in Asian families. Old family friend, that's a boy. Family has a daughter. Guess what? They're probably arranged to be married. Not quite anything new, but it kind of looks like. And then Sugo kind of admits to Kirito that Asuna never liked him, and he's kind of creep too.
No, creep is one word itself. I just call him a douchebag.
Yeah, pretty much.
Outright, just done said.
Yeah, and he says that he's gonna marry Asuna in a week, and of course the families, they all adore each other. So pretty much Kirito has a week to figure out how to get Asuna out of coma on there. So they discover the AHO game right there, and so you think people wouldn't go into another game like Sword Art, right? Because last time people got trapped. But the difference with AHO is, Tito, you want to explain this?
So, AHO is divided up is Sword Art Online. It's piggybacking off of the original server and just re-encoding it into a different game, but essentially it's using what was an older version of the kernel.
Yeah, so the engine and the mechanics, it's all the same.
It's exactly the same. And
it just looks different.
The biggest difference is you can fly. You can you gain. Yeah, so essentially the game is actually translates to Land of Fairies. So you play like one of 9 fairy races that compete to each other to get to the top of the castle.
Yeah, and it's more PvP based instead of P versus E.
PvE, yeah.
Yeah.
Player versus enemy. But unfortunately, like with all good things, you're limited to flying, so you can't really, stay in the air forever. As long as you have glittering wings, so to speak, you can fly. Like Peter Pan, I guess.
I wonder how many cosplayers we're gonna see now with glittering wings for AHO.
I'm guaranteed to see a ton of them. I mean, we just had like Anime Bonsai a couple weeks ago, and I saw 2 Kiritos.
Oh, I really need to commission Bill to make me those swords.
Yeah, dude.
Would they not
seriously,
be cool?
No, they look good. They look great. I would love to own them. I may not do the cosplay, but I'd love to own them. Just put them on the wall.
I could look like Kirito. I'm skinny enough, right?
Yeah, you could. I'm not. I'm too fat.
But you're wearing your Pollen Storm.
Yes, I am.
I love it. Tried and true T-shirt, guys. Band T-shirt right there. So Kirito kind of goes into it, and when he goes into it, the control systems, since it's piggybacking, it looks all the same. And then he goes through his inventory, and remember what happened in Sword Art? He stored Yui's memories into his nerve gear. So if all his old inventory and his stats are still there, he looks into it and he finds Yui, and she pops up on there, and she turns into a pixie.
Yes, it's a personal support pixie is what they call her. I think. Yeah.
I thought it was funny because now she's like all she was small before, but now she's even like more miniature size, and she did like a Sailor Moon transportation.
Yeah, that was like, how can you make this any more like fan based? Let's get a character who's already small and chibi and turn her into a pixie.
Yeah.
Let's just do that, guys. Yeah, but the terms of this game is that
It's kind of
essentially
like
everything
Sword
that
Art, except
it's
Yeah.
essentially everything that Kirito did in Sword Art is transferred over to this game now. So he's got like immense
Yeah.
like skills
Yeah.
on everything. 'Cause,
So-
he was the top player.
So now, are you kind of worried they might repeat the same things they kind of did before in Sword Art? Because
I'm very worried because now it's Kirito,
and he's
like,
already spec.
over buffness with wings, so now he can
Yeah.
fly, but
I'm
very poorly.
I'm really interested what they're gonna do right there, and I don't know.
I
like-
just have this thing in a week that he's supposed to, so in a week he's gonna have to like learn this new game, climb a tower or something like that. I don't know the exact details on this, but and then have to rescue Asuka before she gets married in a comatose
Yeah.
to a douchebag.
Yeah, to be honest, out of the 3 animes we watched this week, this is the weakest out of them. And usually Sword Art would be ranking at the top for
Yeah.
last season. So I don't know. It's kind of
Yeah,
weird.
These 2 episodes is putting it pretty low.
Yeah, it's because they're kind of separating it because there's still this dynamic between Kirito and his cousin that they're still trying to work out in the real life, and then now he's like splitting your time between the real world and this digital world because obviously they made it so you're not trapped in AHO on there, and I don't know how that's going to turn out really.
Yeah, because you can kill people and not suffer consequences
Yeah.
anymore. So,
I'm not sure how they're going to fit this all into 12 episodes, which worries me a little bit.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they will. I mean, it just feels like it's gonna be rushed, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, there's gonna be like maybe 10 episodes of them getting Asuna, and then the last 2 of them are just like aftermath of what happens or
Yeah.
whatever.
I
You
don't
know,
know.
Well,
Hopefully,
find out.
hopefully they'll pull it out. You know, because it's been good so far. So I'm hoping to pull it out. All right. So speaking of pulling things out, let's go to our next anime, and I don't even know where they got half the ideas for this thing.
いくよ
And our next anime is Tonari no Kaibutsu-Kun, and it's brought to you by Monja. I have no idea what Monja is, but it looks good, and I want some. It's also good to have with your pet rooster.
yep.
All right, so let's give you kind of a background of Tonari no Kaibutsu-Kun, or as I'm going to call it, Tonari, because it's long. So it happens to be about Mitsutani Shizuka, and she's in her first year at Soyo High School, and entirely mirrored what I did when I was in high school. Everything was about studying, getting top grades, and getting into a good college, being successful in life. Everything else is extraneous. Don't need friends, don't need extracurriculars unless it's studying. She's got
Gray is now.
yeah, she's thanks a lot, Dito. Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Hey, I'm no better.
But she's even gotten a reputation of being called dry ice because when she was like in 3rd grade, her the class bunny died, and she's like, "Can I go study now? It's cold." She
Dry ice cold.
yeah. But she actually normally she has a classmate that sits next to her named Yoshida Haru, but she hasn't seen him since the first day of high school because he got in trouble for punching some seniors that was picking on some guy.
They have the hospital, mind you.
Yeah, and there's bloodstains everywhere.
No, it's just a big body blood stain on the wall.
Yeah, kind of like from Koriwa Zombie.
Yeah, it's actually
Bloodstains.
very similar.
So the story is about those two right there. And we'll just go into the first discussion topic because the first episode pretty much sets us up with what to expect in this anime. And it's the dynamic between Haru and Shizuku, because the homeroom teacher kind of suckers Shizuku to taking some papers and homework to Haru, and apparently his dad owns an arcade, and that's where he spends all his time on there. But he gives it to her, and Haru's like, "So this is what it feels like to have a friend bring you homework when you're sick. Are you my friend?" And that kind of describes this dynamic between the two.
Yeah, first impressions was just like weird and very closed-minded, like closured.
Yeah.
Sheltered. Sorry, it's a word I'm looking for. Sheltered.
Like, I honestly thought this anime was just gonna be just throwing ideas and no like contiguous storyline whatsoever, but they kind of bring it together a little bit right there. And Shizuku, she's just like annoyed with him all the time. It's like, why is this idiot here? Because he seems like an idiot. Because his temper's easily goes off. He'll just run off and do something. And
punch anyone, anything.
Yeah, like he'll find a dog. It's like, it was a stray dog, and like, that dog is a collar. I don't know if it's stray or not.
A Rottweiler with a collar on.
Yeah, and by the end of the first episode, Haru's already confessing his feelings for her. He's like, "I'm in love with you," on there, and she's like, "Get this freak away!"
As a friend, right?
I want to go
Have
study.
any real friends.
Yeah, she pretty much was like, "I want to go study. I don't want to. Why is this annoying guy following me?" But the thing is, she starts getting distracted while she's studying and stuff, and it's kind of weird. And then Haru has a secret too, because the reason why Shizuku's trying so hard is because she wants to be on top. But when they were having their opening ceremonies on the first day of school, she wasn't the student giving the opening speech. Guess who it was, Dito?
It was Haru because he actually scored higher than her in the grade. So, and she was just felt like she needed to redeem herself from that, so she spends all her time in the midterms trying to get top place.
Yeah, I actually like this idea because you have Shizuku, who's the kind of classic study all student, and then you got this like carefree guy who's wild, and he's brilliant too. And just throwing them into that mix, it's just a good combination between the two where they're just on opposite sides of the spectrum, even though they're both brilliant, and they kind of just end up fighting with each other on their and unlike Sword Art Online, where they spend 2 whole episodes on how Asuna and Kirito are lovey-dovey, they that's more of like a second thought in this anime on there. And kind of goes on to the second point that I was going to talk about is how as Shizuku, she goes from having no friends to having this guy who's essentially her boyfriend. And then they introduce this character, Natsume, and let's just say I've seen walls smarter than her.
Yes, very true. Like she really is an idiot. She is one of those like how do you want to put them? Internet junkies, ones who start up all these forum posts and name it after themselves and post stuff about themselves. Oh, am I going too far?
Oh man, it sounds
I'm just
so
joking.
familiar. I don't know where that's from.
No, but seriously, like she really she is so into like the whole internet scene because she feels that that's where all her friends are. Like how people on playing online games and everything who have a community of the friends, but they don't know anyone personally. That's essentially what she is.
Yeah, and like her personality is just knowing those people online. She doesn't really have any friends because she's what she claims, she's self-proclaimed cute on there.
Yes.
And then all the other girls don't want to be her friends because she's that girl where all the guys kind of fawn over her on that. And the funny thing is, like, I love how they bring her in, and she's just this contrast for Haru and Shizuku, because Haru and Shizuku are totally in love with each other. And then you throw in Natsumi, it kind of gives you this perspective because Haru and Shizuku are just these like misfits, outcasts. Not people tend not to befriend them because Haru's just nuts.
Yes, he's outright he's not crazy or psycho. He's just wild.
Yeah, and Shizuku's just she's just so ice cold. Everybody's scared of her, and you throw him into that, and it kind of gives you perspective on that. You see these three characters together, and then you never really see them interacting with anybody else except the teacher, and it kind of gives you like before all of them were individually isolated, but when you throw them together, you get this like crazy mix in between that's fun to watch. To be honest with you.
But then you do have to add one more thing to the mix to make it just that much better. A rooster.
Yes.
I don't know why they did this, but I think it was a good idea. Is that one day Haru just comes to school and just has a rooster underneath his shirt.
He found it in the rain. All right. I'm waiting for the day the owner of that rooster just comes back and it's like, "Where's my rooster?"
I don't think they will, but like Haru is so naive on stuff. Like he is very brilliant, but he's very naive. So he just kind of like will just assume stuff very illogically, but at the same time too, it makes sense to him.
Yeah, and like I said, he's still a genius. Like he would have scored higher on the midterms as Shizuku if he remembered to put his name on the paper.
Yes.
But I like when I first saw this anime, I was really skeptical. This honestly wasn't my pick for this, but when I watched the second episode, there was just something about this anime that kind of drew me to it. Maybe because of the parallels of me and Shizuku. Oh man.
Oh boy, we got a paralleled KT Shizuku.
Actually, I'm probably a combination of both Haru and Shizuku put together. Which, man, I think I need help.
Yes, you need lots of help in plastic surgery.
But I'm really interested. This is kind of the fun anime that we picked, and I honestly don't know where they're going with this because they've already confessed to each other, and there's going to be a beach episode.
I'm seeing a lot of potential here. I'm seeing a lot of potential here just because it's like this. There's an anime that I watched a long time ago called Toradora, and it had a lot of those elements in this one too. So I see this being a very fun, just upbeat, slapstick humor comedy anime.
Yeah, we kind of need that because we're a little downer heavy.
Yeah,
because Psychopaths is like.
It's as much as Psychopath seems to be downer, I'm actually quite enjoying it from the first two episodes.
So like, and then that's all our animes now. And if you've watched our show before, usually we'll go longer than this. But I hope you like our kind of new format where we're not just retelling you what's happening. We're kind of going into more discussions and highlighting the points that we like. If you like it, let us know. If you want the old format, let us know too. Ktdata at ktdata.net. Make sure you check us out on our social networks, facebook.com/ktdatanet for our Facebook page. On Twitter, it's at ktdata. Google+, if you search for Kita Anime Podcast, it'll be there. For all of you who are watching live that are wondering where episode 7 is, it's actually going to be published right after we finish this. I ran into some issues with one of the themes we ended up playing on our fall anime preview. So I had to go back and fix that. But that will be up just very shortly. So if you're watching live, the plan is tonight, you're going to get episode 7 of Kita. Tomorrow, episode 2 of the Kickcast. And then Thursday, you should get this episode out on the feed on there. So hopefully you'll see that. Of course, ktdata.net. Like I said in our opening ad, we have lots of boxes. I have 2 full boxes of figures I need to open and review, and 3 movie reviews. And then Dito, how much crap do you got over there?
Well, let's see. This is the one I'm working on right now. I'm trying to get this out now. The Saber Cruiser. Trying to get this one out. I have it currently set up right now. I just need to take some. I need to take some more actual photos of it. Then I also got probably. I did my Zone of the Enders, so that's already out on there. So check that out. And I think I have 2 more. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a lot coming up. Make sure you keep your eyes on that. And, of course, we do this every other week because I do Kickcasts on the off weeks of this. So our next one is November 20th, 2012.
Yes, and then probably around that same time period, you'll see that my Neanderthal look will get more shaggy.
Oh. So if anybody wants to find a bearded man, just let me know and I'll give you Dito's number. Don't
I
chicks
don't
stick
think that's gonna
beards? Right?
No, not me. Not my. I look pretty bad.
I don't know. Somebody told me chicks stick beards, but Dito, as always, it's a blast to do this with you. Gives me an excuse to watch anime. Gives me an excuse to talk to you. And I don't know. Anything else?
KT doesn't want to talk to me during the week.
I don't know. For you guys watching, always it's fun. I love getting feedback from you guys too on there. Anything else to say, Dito?
No, I think that's about it.
All right, guys. See you in 2 weeks. Bye. Creepy old man.
That laugh. It's like we've been doing it for a year and it still never gets old.